I think is integral to the way as you said rightly, consumption has been constructed in a way that in today's society we only deal with the finished product. I've heard that the engineer who makes these things for Apple has a singular mission to eliminate balls of fruit. He doesn't like fruit. So there is a direct connection between the consumer and the finished product. And because I have been living in US for 40 years or so, and I have been systematically conditioned, I didn't realize it until a recent visit to Morocco. I went to Marrakesh. And in Marrakesh, it was the absolute delight of actually seeing vacuum cleaners, irons, opened up to be fixed. You follow? So you see various appliances gutted out. The last time that in American public television you had labor class was when Honeymooners was popular. It was a popular American sitcom. The husband was a bus driver. One husband was a bus driver. The other husband was working the sewer, and they had two housewives. That was the last time we actually saw labor class on public television and as part of the popular culture. Labor class has disappeared. In fact, labor class has now been substituted by working families as euphemism. So the elimination of death and destitution or poverty from public, not that they don't exist, they exist, is integral to this kind of product, that it's as soon as this is not working, you take it to the Apple store, as I'm sure you have an Apple store here, and you throw it away and you get a new one. That is, on my life, you cannot find try to find a screw that you can actually unscrew. This is what I mean by the elimination of anything from birth to death. And that, remember, my point, Professor Nandy, is we're implicated in it. From genetic engineering to amniocentesis, to abortion, to any kind of, to female feticide, that you have it globally. You begin to manipulate birth at that point, all the way to, at the other end, physician-assisted suicide, euthanasia, etc. So the medieval and humanist and Renaissance conception of the body, which is subject to Aristotelian birth, growth, and corruption, is being entirely eliminated. And a fabricated body is being generated that is perpetually young and perpetually fit. The natural, I'm very happy with mine. And falsely they say, no, this is a sign of a not good health, but I'm perfectly good health, at least here. Or a happy illusion. But let me go back to the question of romanticism, because I think we have a slightly different. All revolutionaries are romantics. Robert Marx, he was the supreme romantic. Right? He came from the Enlightenment romanticism. So that's not the romanticism that I had in mind. What I meant was, for us to have this sight of poverty and destitution, for us to feel sort of morally complete and enabled. But that sight should be there as an alert, as a sign of a contestation. I completely agree with you.
One other thing that you said, I want to seek some clarification on that. That old age and childhood are being excised or exiled. But this is not new. I think for the last 250 years, at least, if not 300 years, we have been trying to do that. The first time the language of life cycle was applied to societies, communities, and cultures was after the discovery of the Americas. The African slaves were seen as intrahuman, somehow between human beings and animals. But they were also seen as childlike, wild human beings. Cecil would say, the African is half savage, half child. From then onwards, this attempt has been made to look at this. On one hand you find that, on the other hand you find the delegitimization of old age. India and China were seen as ancient civilizations. They began to be seen, once colonialism got consolidated, as, for that very reason, as old, senile and decrepit. And these societies must learn from the best, the more youthful, vigorous, yes, the beauties of adult. The idea, and if I say so, ideology of adulthood has ruled the world, and it has been exported, our countries too. And this has come out in a very, you can notice it in a very big way, the way we begin to treat the elderly and the young. This is also has to do with other things, like for example, gender discrimination also came at that time. So the Hindus became effeminate and not masculine enough. And within the Hindus also there were the martial races and the non-martial races. Bengalis of course were non-martial. One look at me and can see that. And some of the communities were seen as martial. And gradually, the Indians also began to buy into that. Traditionally, in India, gender was always plotted along two dimensions. Along one dimension, it was this hierarchy, masculinity over femininity, the adult over the child. But this was balanced by the other belief, who is masculine, who is feminine. Ananda Kumaraswamy has pointed out that in the canonical texts, Vedas and Upanishads, the Brahmin is to the Kshatriya, priest to the martial, is what a man is to a woman. It is the Brahmin who is a man, the Kshatriya, the martial, is a feminine. And now, and actually the concept of femininity is impregnated with the idea of power. Adishakti is feminine. And activity is also feminine. Lila is feminine. And this has also these have been underlying theme in the culture. But now we are bought into it. So we now have very elaborate systems to establish the superiority of the masculine over the feminine, the productive over the reproductive, and so on and so forth, a whole series of things which we know about.
See,